We are coming to you for our Wednesday video to talk about the car. Our car. We have one car. We drive a 2008 Ford Escape Hybrid. It's 2-wheel drive. We get a lot of questions about driving in Alaska. What are the roads like? Do you have to have special tires? How much does gas cost? I'm the worst with that because you have to buy gas. So who cares how much it costs? You have to have it. It's a necessity. It's not a choice. So I just buy it and I don't care what it costs. So I'm gonna talk about some things and then some things are gonna be a little too technical and I'm gonna have to pass it over to the hubby over here because I don't know about cars. What do I look like?
You think I do?
You know more than me. First, let's talk the price of gas in Alaska. Different from the cost of tea in China. I'm glad I made you laugh because that was really stupid. I have been taking notes on the price of gas here. And by taking notes, I mean 2 times. I wrote it down 2 whole times. So on January 26th, when I first was like, I think I'm gonna make a video about this. Here we are in March. I wrote down the cost of gas. It was $3.15. So on March 4th, I went to fill up with gas after our weekly grocery trip. And with our fuel points from Fred Meyer, we only paid $3.01 per gallon in gas. So basically the average gas prices can fluctuate anywhere between $3.10 to like $3.15, maybe $3.20 in summer months.
Well, it kind of depends on where you get gas, but typically around where we get gas is near Fairbanks, so it's a bigger, more populated area, so it's gonna be cheaper than some more remote areas where we've seen it be closer to $4.
Yeah. So in Delta Junction, which is I guess an hour, 2 hours from us, 2 hours towards Canada. So that would be east. In Delta Junction, it can get up to like $3.71. And in, the more expensive times of year, like Brian said, like $4 a gallon. That's pretty pricey. Now let's talk tires. The impression we were given when we moved here was that all-weather tires would be fine. So we got all-weather tires before we moved here from Wichita. Now that we have been through an entire winter, do you think that all-weather tires were appropriate?
They got us from A to B, but at the same time, we're also only driving on really well-maintained roads and highways. They get cleared often and quickly.
Yeah.
There has been a few times we've gone on side streets where all-weather tires were not enough.
We've gotten stuck.
But it's definitely doable with all-weather tires.
Right. We haven't had too much trouble, but I do think that if I had it to do all over again, knowing what I know now, I would probably just want to get snow tires.
Which we will next winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really depends on where you're going and, where you live. If we lived anywhere more, remote, like a kind of, like half a mile away from your nearest neighbor kind of thing, yeah, our all-weather tires would not have done anything for us.
It is a hybrid, and because it's a hybrid, it has a little bit of a slow takeoff. I think once we have snow tires, it will do better at stoplights. That's really where we have the most trouble.
It's just that initial starting from going from battery to gas powered, I guess. or assisted. That will transition take some time to happen, you know. So you don't get that torque right away, I guess.
Yeah, there's not a ton of traction, and that's the fault of our tires, really. What can somebody expect of the roads when they get up here? When it comes to driving, the roads are not as bad as I expected them to be. Did you think the roads would be better or worse?
I thought they'd be worse. I thought they'd be almost undrivable at times, but
I agree.
I mean, it was definitely doable with caution and taking your time, going slow.
Yeah, that's my biggest advice that I would give too, is you just have to drive slow. If you're in a hurry to get somewhere, don't be. Just give yourself enough time and drive slowly, and just don't be in a rush, because that's when accidents are gonna happen. You know, the biggest, baddest, toughest truck can still slip on the ice, and the person that has been driving for the longest amount of time, maybe even driving professionally, you can still hit a patch of ice and slip around. So you wanna make sure that you're driving slow so that if you hit that patch of ice, you can still have some control. I'm sure some people would maybe feel more confident, but I just feel like going slow is the way to go when it comes to snow. My personal opinion is it's the worst, well, just from what we've experienced so far. Again, this is just our first winter, so, you know, talk to us in a couple years, we might feel differently, but I think the worst is this time, so like March, it's just really slushy and things are starting to melt, so there's just little like random patches of ice still on the road, so it kind of tricks you into thinking like, oh, I can see the asphalt, all the snow is melted, I can drive, you know, the regular speed limit like I normally would in the summer. But then there are little patches of ice that you have to look out for, because if you're, you know, if you've got your speed control, your cruise control set going 65 and you hit a patch of ice because you're not paying attention, that could be bad news.
Which, caveat, you should not be using your cruise control when there's ice on the road, period.
No cruise control when there's ice on the road. And then I think like the first snow comes in like October, and that first snow I think is hard because I think people are remembering like, oh yeah, this is how you drive on a snowy road or an icy road, and they're trying to get it cleared. And it's kind of like this, where maybe it snowed but it's not super cold, so it hasn't stuck, or it hasn't like hardened on the road. I don't know. In the winter, in like the dead of winter, the roads are completely iced over, and that sounds terrifying. It sounds so scary. What? It's not that bad. You just have to drive slow, and you have to give yourself a lot of reaction time. I was thinking that I was just gonna be living in fear, and that I wasn't gonna go anywhere, and it was gonna be so cold, and the roads were gonna be so bad that we just weren't gonna go anywhere. But you know what? It's okay. You just gotta take it slow.
I think it's kind of like if you've ever just grabbed like an ice cube straight out of the tray or something in the freezer, and it's kind of like dry and sticky but cold. That's how it is when it's really, really cold in the winter. You know, it's slick and slippery, but it's kind of dry cold, I guess. But when everything starts melting, you get that little film of water, so it's almost like you're hydroplaning and sliding on what's underneath. So that makes it almost 10 times worse.
Yeah, it's like the sun hits it just right so that it can melt, but then it gets cold at night, so it freezes back up, and it's just really, there were a few days where it would get warm enough and it would melt that top layer, and then the top layer would harden, and it was like driving on an ice skating rink. I mean, there were a few days here and there that were a little treacherous, but overall, it's not bad. Here's another decision we made this winter. Well, it wasn't really a decision. It was really a slacking off on my part, and then I had to pay the price. Auto start. He was just like, hey, will you call and see about getting the auto start put in?
Hey, will you call and see about putting auto start in? Hey, will you call and see about putting auto start in?
I just never did it.
But you are the one who wanted the auto start to begin with.
Well, and I'm the one that paid the price for it because when it was the coldest, somebody was gone. And I was here without auto start. It's not really important like when you're getting in your car in the morning because our car's in the garage.
Right.
You disagree?
No, that was going to be my point. Because our car's in a heated garage.
Right. We have a 1-car garage and we have 1 car, so that works perfectly. If we had 2 cars, then one of our cars would probably need or want auto start so that it could be warm. The only time that it was a real issue that I was like, oh, I really wish that we had auto start was like when you're getting in the car and you're having to put all those groceries in, I want that car to already be warm. Call me a brat, call me spoiled, I'll take it. I just want that car to be warm. When it's negative 25, negative 30 degrees outside and I'm putting groceries in my car, I want to get back in the car and be warm. And I don't feel bad for that. So, you were right. I was wrong. It's on film.
So kind of piggyback on that. Auto start's great, but at the same time when it's that cold, it still needs to be plugged in. And you know, if you're keeping your car outside all night, one great piece of advice I've seen come up again and again is have a timer set for your plug or your outlet. Our garage has one outside, has an outlet outside that has a timer set to it, so you can set what time it turns on and off. That way your car's not being heated all night long and you know you're wasting energy that way, and at the same time you can set it to start early enough so that when you go to get in it or use your auto start in the morning, it's already heated and you're not risking damaging your vehicle.
When we winterized the vehicle, we talked about that a little bit. You have to add a plug and you have to get an extension cord to plug into that. And we plug the car in anytime it drops into the negatives. Just kind of as a rule of thumb because our car is older. If you had a newer car, maybe you could wait until negative 10 or negative 15. If your car's really old, you might want to do it, you know, when it starts to get below freezing. I don't know. But for us, we plug it in when it is in the negatives. That's worked for us.
Really, I mean, it's one of those few things where it's kind of a good idea to start following the crowd. And you see people who've probably been here for a while start plugging it in. It's probably time for you to start plugging it in too.
So this is the plug, and this runs inside of there. Goes down here. So up here underneath all this plastic is the other side of that plug, and it has 3 connectors. 2 of them are being filled by this little red heating pad. So it connects there to heat the coolant in the engine block. And there's another one that goes further up. Or I guess that one's the old pan. So this red pad heats the oil pan, and there's another one that runs up and goes to the engine block heater, which is a little harder to show you.
Okay, so let's talk about when you winterize your vehicle. So first of all, Brian, what does it mean for one to winterize one's vehicle?
So for here, there are probably 3 main components to it. You're gonna have engine block heater, probably an oil pan heater, and battery heating pad. There's a couple different styles that you could use. We only did 2 of them. We did the oil pan heater and the engine block heater. And since we were keeping our car in the garage for the most part, the battery heating pad wasn't really super necessary since never really kept the car outside and the elements are very long. And our battery's almost brand new. They're both pretty easy to install. I did it here at the Auto Hobby Shop and they kind of walked me through it and it wasn't difficult at all. It took me maybe an hour or so. And it depends on your vehicle too, you know, how accessible things are. You will probably need a lift, just depending on where your engine block heater is located. I had to use a lift for ours. It was pretty straightforward once they walked me through it. You take out a plug and in the engine block, and you replace it with another plug that has an outlet on it, and it goes to this little extension cord that you hook up to the front of your car. So one of those plugs is taken out by the engine block heater. The other plug is taken out by the oil pan heater, and that is hooked to the bottom of the oil pan. It's basically just a little red pad that sticks under there, and the cord wraps through and hooks into that little extension cord. And then we have that last slot that could be used for the battery heater if we were to get one.
And Brian, like he said, he installed that all himself. He did have someone like working with him and showing him what to do, but he did it himself. People will ask, hey, I'm moving up there and I need to know, should I winterize my vehicle up there or should I winterize my vehicle in the lower 48? And the consensus seems to be, do it up here. It might be cheaper in the lower 48, but they may not know what they're doing, and they may have never winterized a vehicle before because it's really different up here. So I would say do it up here. What do you think?
I agree. Unless you live somewhere like North Dakota or in the northern parts of Montana or
Canada
and around Canada, they're not really going to be experienced with that, and they may not even have the parts. I mean, you have to special order the parts, which would make it more expensive. On top of that, if you can find somewhere that you can do it yourself, I mean, I think it cost me maybe $70, and that was with renting the lift and the time on that, the parts, everything. It was like $70. But it can cost upwards of $200, $300. If it's already winter, $400 or $500 to get it done. So you really save yourself a lot of money that way. If it is like the dead of winter when you're planning on coming up here, you may not have a choice. It might just be your best bet to get it done beforehand, or even try to get it done on your trip, because it could probably be done in a day.
And just explain, I need an engine block heater, or maybe even call ahead, because some places may not have that. I know, like, if we tried to get that done to our car in Georgia and we asked for an engine block heater, they'd probably be like, what is that? We gotta order that, you know? They probably wouldn't even know what that was. Not saying anything about their intelligence, just about the necessity in the area.
Right. I didn't know this until we moved to Kansas, but it's even more important up here. If you're coming from somewhere that's really warm, so like for us, the South, there is such thing as a warm weather battery and a all weather or cold weather battery, and that definitely can make a difference. Even in Kansas, I knew plenty of people from Georgia or Florida in that area that it would get cold and they'd have issues with their warm weather battery, so to speak. So that might be something to consider too if you're moving to a colder climate.
When we moved to Kansas from Georgia, we thought it was gonna be like Alaska. It wasn't that bad. And then we moved to Alaska. So it's crazy. An emergency kit. This is something that we have heard over and over. You need to have this in your car. You need to have this in your car. We don't have it in our car.
Well, we do.
We do. It's not.
She just doesn't know it's there.
Oh, you've got it hidden. Well, what if I was alone and the car broke down?
It's in the car.
Okay. Why don't you take this one too? Because I don't know about it.
So
I didn't even know we have it in the car. Okay.
Typically they tell you to keep your emergency kit in there in case you do break down. It's somewhere kind of remote and you don't know how long you're going to be there. So you're going to want stuff to keep you warm. Potentially food, just in case you're going to be there for that long. But your main thing is warmth and conserving heat. So good thing is keep like big jackets, you know, especially ones that you're probably not going to wear often, but are going to be really warm, and you can put aside in the car somewhere and not be a big deal. And maybe even a sleeping bag, that probably wouldn't hurt either. Some non-perishable food items that you can kind of store away in a box or something. Or a lot of people do is get one of those little plastic storage boxes and just kind of fill that up, like a flashlight, a radio, some food items, a couple of jackets, some warm clothes.
It's dark a lot in the winter, so a flashlight is a really good idea. And then those little like triangle things that that truckers will put out when they have to stop.
Hazard signs.
Little hazards. Those are good because it's dark here in the winter, and you know, it's very possible that when you break down, it could be a dark part of the day and you want those cars to see you.
Or even those breakable like glow lights.
Oh yeah.
That would be good too.
Road flare, you know, if you just got a road flare hanging around, maybe put it in your car.
Well, she's saying that jokingly, but when they're plowing the roads and stuff, even if it's a little bit dark, they do throw road flares to kind of tell you, hey, there's a vehicle up ahead plowing the road. So
it just always freaks me out because I think it's like a rogue firework or something. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know, that's dumb. I don't think I've ever seen a road flare until I moved up here.
But it is definitely something you kind of want to consider, especially if you're going to be going out like, hunting or you live somewhere a little more remote where there's not really that much traffic or neighbors. Or
Thank you so much for watching our video. We hope that if you're curious, it satiated your appetite for what driving is like in Alaska. If you're getting ready to move to Alaska, that's really cool, and we're really excited for you because Alaska is beautiful and such a unique place to live, and we hope this was helpful to you in that aspect. And we're just thankful that you guys continue to watch our videos, whether you know us or not. That's really cool. If you have anything that you want us to talk more about, or questions that we left unanswered for you, drop that down below in the comment section. We would love to interact with you on that. And yeah, pretty calm and casual Wednesday video.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you later.
Today we are coming to you guys super casual. Did you like that? You can't wear these because they have a glare.
then I can't see.
You don't need to see.
Okay, fine.
Today I'm going to look here, and I'm not going to look at myself. I'm going to look here. What's the stitch? I wasn't going to say that, but I'm glad that you said it because it's easy for me to we're going to do that next winter, but it's not really my... Sometimes I wonder if it's the all-weather tires or if it's our car.
It's the tires.
Oh, it's the tires. Okay. Cut that out. Sorry about that. Forget I even said it. I already said that. Cut it out. Our car is what I would consider a mini SUV.
So it's not huge. What? It's an SUV. It's not an SUV, it's an SUV. It's not like a Suburban or a Tahoe or a Sequoia. It's like a smaller version of one. That's an extra large SUV. Ours is an SUV. Oh, well, I would never call it an SUV. I call it a mini SUV. But that's okay.
People can have different opinions. We don't have very many different opinions.
That's fine. I'm gonna snuggle up to you because I'm sitting up forward and it looks like my head is giant. It looks like it's an SUV. Oh, you can't see. Yeah, it's an SUV.
Made me take off my glasses.
You can put your glasses back on if you want. It's just that people aren't going to be able to see your beautiful honey brown eyes.
It's an SUV.
Boop, boop, boop. Okay, it's an SUV. Brian says it's an SUV. That means, damn it, it's an SUV. Alright, Stein's going to be in the video.
Yeah, it's just that initial going from battery to...
Frozen peach, that's all you. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
It's just that initial...
Okay, you can be in the video, but you have to sit nicely. You can't just throw your tail around. Okay.